We're live now.
Okay, welcome everyone to the Pillar One Advisory Committee to the AIB. We are joined here by amazing guests. We have some amazing guests lined up for tonight, and the AIB team is here as well. So we would like to welcome everyone. Our topic of discussion are workforce resources, what's available out there for the current workforce and our future workforce. So welcome everyone. We'll start with the introduction. My name is Ruby Daniels, and I'm the chair of the Pillar One Advisory Committee. I'm also the president of the Maryland State Family Child Care Association, a Howard County Family Child Care provider, and a pre-K expansion grantee. So I do have a lot of hats that I wear, and we'll pass it on to Dr. Ray, who's my vice chair.
Good evening, everyone. Dr. Rania Miller, Vice Chair of the Pillar One Advisory Committee. Who am I? Managing partner of the Consortium of Accomplished Educators. And yeah, I missed you all so much the time before this that I'm still trying to catch up.
Okay, could you want to pass it on to someone?
Yes, I'm going to pass it to Sakshi.
Hi, I'm Sakshi, and I'm the student on this pillar, and I'm from Long Ridge High School in Columbia, Maryland. And I'll pass it to Gina.
Good evening, everyone. I am Gina Hoover. I am a member of the Pillar One Committee, and I am the Early Learning Lead Teacher with Washington County Public Schools. And it's good to see everyone tonight. And I will pass it to Beverly.
Good evening. I am Beverly Coleman. I am the director of the Educational Opportunity Center. We at Montgomery College, we are a pre-college program that assists adults 19 and above in pursuing post-secondary education. And we assist with the entire process from admissions until enrollment. And we are a federally funded grant. And I will pass it to Akima, who does not have a big head.
Thank you, Beverly. You're so kind. My name is Akima Rogers. I'm the Director of Academic Initiatives at Montgomery College. My office oversees many of the academic partnerships with Montgomery College and the local school system and other community entities. Our largest partnership relationship is dual enrollment in all the dual enrollment programs. I also work with our admissions and registration affiliate group in the state, our special interest group with dual enrollment. And in fact, we're hosting our first statewide dual enrollment meeting, bringing dual enrollment practitioners from around the state to come and talk about Blueprint and some other things. So thank you for having me. And I'm going to pass it to Maylin.
Hi, everyone. My name is Mayling Mejia, and I am the Early Childhood Program Coordinator for the Early Childhood Program at Montgomery College. We support early childhood educators in gaining their associate degree at Montgomery College, and then also supporting the AAT students transferring their credits to a 4-year institution. Thank you. I'll pass it to Ricardo.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Ricardo Neal. I am the Chief Executive Officer of We Will All Rise. We'll say more about the organization, but we focus on the outcomes for Black and Brown men, particularly around college completion, and with a special focus in supporting Black and Brown men entering careers in education. With that said, I will turn it over to my colleague, Mark Nash.
Hello, everyone. I'm Mark Nash. I'm the Chief Innovation Officer with We Will All Rise. And I will turn it over to Gina.
I think, did we get everybody? Libby, do you want to say anything?
Sure, I can. Yep. Hi, everybody. I'm Libby Diamond. I'm a policy analyst with AIB, and I'm happy to be here. And I think I am the last introduction, unless we've missed somebody.
Tawanda.
Ruby, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, I think we didn't get an introduction for Shawanda. Shawanda is
Oh,
the-
Shawanda I'm sorry, Shawanda, go ahead.
That's okay. I'm Shawanda Smith. I am the Executive Special Assistant with the AIB.
and Shawanda is the one that makes all the meeting possible. So thank you, Shawanda. Okay, so we're gonna go to in our last meeting, I would like to say special thank you for Kelly Longerbeam, Bridget Herbert, Andrea Duran, Melissa Di Donato, and James Scott Mitchell for being our speakers in the June 6th meeting. Gina would provide a recap of our last meeting.
Sure, I'll just give a quick recap. So last meeting we had representatives from Washington County Public Schools and from Baltimore County Public Schools, and Washington County talked about our partnership that we have between our high school. We have 2 high school programs that have pre-Ks. And so we kind of talked a little bit about that and how we are able to add pre-K seats through that program, and how the big kids and the little kids all get to learn together, and it's just a really great program. So that was our big talk. And then Baltimore County just kind of talked about some of their expansions that they're doing. Their goal is to, continue to convert that half-day pre-K to full-day pre-K. And also, it's kind of cool. I always say with these meetings that we get to hear what other counties are doing, and all of us are kind of in the same boat, and we're all learning, the blueprint and things. So a partnership was kind of formed where, Baltimore County said, oh, we want to kind of hear about that. And so did Washington County. So, that's something that really is great that comes out of these meetings. And then we also had Scott from Potomac Cooperative Teaching Schools, and he talked about the barrier of full-time requirement of the blueprint, and how pre-K expansion should allow half-day programs to be part of the mixed delivery system. So those kind of were the big takeaways. I'll keep the synopsis brief so that we can hear from our great speakers tonight, but I think that I got it.
Okay, so at our last meeting too, thank you, Gina, that's wonderful. At our last meeting, Washington County, I did tell them about the CCCPDF program, and I invited Christina Segura here to speak about the CCCPDF, but she's unable to attend. So just some brief information that she sent me via email is the CCCPDF is the Child Care Career and Professional Development Fund. It's a tuition-free assistance program for child care providers to obtain a college education at the participating college or university in Maryland. Funding is available for child care providers to earn a college degree in the following areas: early childhood education, child development, elementary education, and special education. The application due dates is by March 1st, and the June 30 is for renewals. So in order to participate in this program, you have to be working in the child care program, right? And you have to be credentialed at level 2, although that is, I think, temporarily on hold. The work, of course, in a licensed child care center or registered family child care, fulfill entrance requirement at the participating college. So at least 1 year of documented experience working with groups of children in a group setting. And of course, this is in Montgomery County, but this program is statewide. Participate in professional development. Agree to complete the child care service requirement of at least 10 hours. I think we increased that to 20 hours at the last legislative bill, and take the minimum of 2 classes per calendar year. The fund commitment is 1 month of each college credit successfully completed. So you have to fulfill 1 month, and 2 years for completed AA, and 4 years for completed bachelor's degree. So this is a wonderful pathway for somebody who's interested in going in the workforce and becoming a teacher, because it's a scholarship, and it also includes the books. So for college students who doesn't have the means and who's interested in education, or even the ones who have a means but wants to avail of that scholarship, then come and work in the childcare field, and you will have that you will be able to avail of the CCC PDF fund. So our next in our agenda is the update from Libby, I guess.
Yes, hi. I mean, I'm going to hold off on a couple of items listed in the agenda to see if Rachel A is able to join us towards the end of the meeting. If not, I will fill in for her as well. So is it okay if we leave the AIB updates to the end of the meeting and we'll circle back to that agenda item?
Of course, of course.
Okay, wonderful. I'll make sure we do it at the end. Thank you.
Okay, so then we could go ahead and do the committee highlight and feedbacks. Is there any highlights and feedbacks from the committee? If there are none, we can go ahead and jump into our guest speakers. I know Mark Nash and Ricardo is here. So Sakshi, are you going to introduce our next speakers?
Yeah, the committee would like to welcome our first guest speakers for tonight, Mark Nash and Ricardo Neal from We Will All Rise, to talk about the I Can Teach Summer Institute. The program is designed to introduce young men of color to teaching careers in public pre-K to 12 education, focusing on early child education. Go ahead.
And Saskia, when you said go ahead, Ricardo and Mark, we could begin, you're saying?
Sakshi?
Yes.
Okay, all right, thank you. I will let Mark talk a bit. Do we have sharing capabilities? Are we able to share?
Tawanda?
Yes, give me 1 second. You should be good to go now.
Great, can everyone see my screen?
Yeah. Great.
And I'll just introduce the organization broadly, and Mark will go specifically around the I Can Teach Summer Institute. As I mentioned at the top of our conversation, We Will All Rise is an organization that's specifically focused on the outcomes of Black and Brown men. Our work actually covers, for the blueprint, pillars 1 through 3 in terms of where we support Black and Brown men going through college and helping them graduate on time, providing a series of supports around mentoring, direct cash assistance, and professional development. And that's done through a number of different programs, primarily through our Free Mind programs. As an organization, we have focused on 3 main pillars: higher education, economic empowerment, and community engagement. For the purpose of this conversation, we'll primarily focus on our work around economic empowerment, our work in terms of I Can Teach. It's both a teacher exposure strategy and a workforce development piece. Organizationally, we have a comprehensive strategy around encouraging and exposing Black and Brown men to enter careers in education through a series of programming. Our Black and Brown Men Belief Fellowship, where we support Black and Brown men who are majoring in education to complete on time. Our 100 More Male Mentoring Program, where we introduce middle school and high school students to their pathway to college, and then encourage them to consider careers in education at a very early stage, with the hopes that once they go on to college, they'll continue to pursue work in the field. I Can Teach, you'll hear a more in-depth explanation from Mark. And then finally, our Black and Brown Men Teach campaign. The campaign operates primarily in the springtime. We will expand the campaign to the fall, where we work with young men and take them into early education classrooms so that children in pre-K all the way through 3rd grade have an opportunity to see Black and Brown men as educators, and as educators that the young men, as they enter in the space, that they are inspired to consider careers in education. We're pleased to say over the last couple of years, as we have done the campaign, We have had young men because they've done the Real Men Read campaign through Black and Brown Men Teach. They're now participating in our I Can Teach Summer Institute or our Believe Fellowship. So we're seeing a conversion once young men go out in the classroom. This year, we served over 500 kids, little ones in Baltimore City with the work that we are doing, and also in Dorchester County Public Schools. But specifically, I will not go too much deeper in the program because I know we're here to hear more about I Can Teach Summer Institute, but I did want for us as a group to learn broadly some of the strategies that we have that's comprehensive and it's interconnected. With that said, I will turn it over to Mark to speak more broadly about the work that we are doing with the Summer Institute. Mark?
Yep. Thank you, Ricardo. As Ricardo stated, the I Can Teach Summer Institute, it's a focus on exposing young men of color to careers in education, and it also provides them with some workforce development as well. The I Can Teach the Summer Institute is a condensed version of our conventional model, which normally would go anywhere from 6 months to a year, where our participants, known as fellows, would spend time in a classroom alongside a lead teacher, learning valuable skills in terms of supporting early childhood students and early childhood programs. This particular model that we have right now, we're excited about the model. There's a lot of excitement from the young men. We just wrapped up a 3-day training with them yesterday. The focus on the training was in 3 critical areas: building positive relationships with students, learning through play, and then also effective read out loud. So the young men had an opportunity to really get in and dive deep into those areas there. And normally in our traditional model, we would also cover phonological awareness, emergent writing, and extended discourse. But because the program is only 6 weeks long, we felt that those were probably the most important aspects that we wanted to cover. So right now, the young men will be housed at Towson University Child Care Center. We've had an incredible relationship with them. And they'll be in the classrooms from pre-K 2 up through kindergarten, working with those students. So we've been in the process right now. We really wanted to, we had a huge amount of young men in the Baltimore area that was actually interested in the program, that signed up for the program, that we interviewed, that we'd love to have been able to accept into the program, but we just didn't have enough partner placement sites to be able to place the young men in. So it wasn't that we didn't have the young men, which is sometimes an issue. It's just that we didn't have enough placement sites to put the young men in. But the individuals at the Child Care Center, they're excited about receiving these young men, having them in there, and it gives the young men an opportunity to really see the impact that they can have on these kids as young men of color.
Wow, that is amazing. We need more, we need more Black and brown teachers that can also be a role model for our Black and brown children as well, and other children. So this is really great. Thank you. Now,
Can I just add one piece to that? You know, as we're implementing the summer model, we are, as an organization, contemplating launching the year-round model here in Baltimore. That will take a little bit more time, in part because of funding as well, and just really making sure that placement sites and those things are in place. But we'll get through the summer first and look and consider whether or not the conditions are the right conditions are in place to launch a full model. This summer, we'll have 5 fellows. The conventional model, we would not go beyond 10 fellows in the work, given the type of supports that they need to have a successful fellowship.
that's great. Any comments from the other people in the call? Okay, go ahead, Maylene.
Thank you, Ricardo and Mark, for showcasing the Rising Institute labor with a Black men. I know the program because one of my colleagues is part of it, Dr. Brandon Wallace. And I heard a lot about, these young men, doing practicing and their practice in Baltimore County. Any conversations about expanding, the fellowship to other counties like PG County, Montgomery County? So anything in plan, just to think ahead, how can we collaborate and get support and support each other through this wonderful path?
I think we're always open to expanding the program. This is a perfect year for us this year because this is our pilot program, so we can really work through any challenges or issues that we have with the program. But one thing I will share with you, why I think it's a good idea in terms of expanding it into Baltimore County, is because we did have an opportunity last year. We led some professional development with Towson University for the TAM teachers, and then also Educator Rising as well. And so there was a lot of interest in us as an organization, supporting those schools and helping them with recruiting the underrepresented students in the school system into those programs. So excited about having that opportunity to do it.
And thanks, Mark. And Melina, in terms of the expansion, I talked about the conditions are right. It means that, is there a school district that's willing and able to participate? That means both from the district level, but also the school level, the sites and community. Also, we not only just in school, we do education centers, community centers as well. Does that work? Then in addition to that, what's the funding architecture? Meaning that, public funding, private funding, and the like, those things also have to be in place. We can only do so much, but the cost to make it happen, we certainly have to consider that. We think that there's buy-in for the work, but in order to expand, we want to make sure that we're protecting the quality of our model and to ensure that we can continue doing that. We certainly have to take in consideration, can we do it? Can we do it well? Who are the partners? What's the funding mechanism in place? And then also the sustainability of the work.
Yeah. So
Thank you so much for responding to my question.
Thank you.
So maybe Ricardo, you can also make a connection with the apprenticeship program. I don't have the contacts right now, but there is an apprenticeship program.
There is long-term planning for that, Ruby, where right now we're going through the process of getting designated as an apprenticeship model to meet the national standards. That will take a couple more, probably a couple more months. We have to have 3 providers, meaning school-based or sites, saying, hey, here are the sites that we're willing to be a site in that. We have 2 right now, and then looking for a 3rd. But in all likelihood, if everything works out the way that we think it should, we should be considered a national apprentice model by the end of the year. So that's the direction that we're going in. And we haven't quite figured out the pathway yet, and we'll learn more in terms of from the state level, the office that's responsible for that. So we'll certainly investigate that, but we are heading in that direction. For now, we implement it as a model, but in the near term, we expect that it will evolve as the apprenticeship model.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other comments or questions from the people on the call? Okay, if there are none, we can go ahead and go to Maylene.
Okay, I am next. Okay, as I said earlier, my name is Maylene Mejia, and I am the program coordinator for the Early Childhood Education program at Montgomery College. At the School of Education, we have different pathways for early childhood educators, especially for, we have in our office, we run a scholarship program that is called ECEI Pathway, Early Care Education Initiative. This pathway is is a collaboration between Montgomery College, Montgomery County, and Montgomery County Public School. Our goal is to support early childhood educators in completing an associate degree, whether it's an AAS, associate in applied science, or an AAT, which must be transferred after completion to a four-year institution. The Early Care and Education Initiative supports early childhood education workforce in Montgomery County only. So to be able to apply for this scholarship program, the applicant must be working in early care and education, could be family childcare or at center base at least 20 hours per week in Montgomery County. That's the only requirement we have right now. In terms of tuition, we cover 100% of the tuition with no penalty. We also cover books. We do cover ESL classes if the student's first language is different from English. And we do cover some math classes if the student needed. We also do counseling, one-to-one counseling with our students, so our students are never alone. Our early childhood educators, counselors meet with our students every year to ensure students have clear understanding about which classes will be taken in the following academic year. After completion, the program has no commitment, so there is no payback. Even though the students fail a few classes, we can also support the students with retaking some classes, and there is no penalty or commitment at the end of the program. However, the limitation that we have in this program at this moment is that it is only available for Montgomery County workforce. However, we do have another pathway, which is the CCC PDF, which Ruby was very kind in explaining earlier. Professor Cristina Segura is the most knowledgeable person and about CCC PDF. Some similarities between both programs. The difference is CCC PDF is statewide and supports students throughout Maryland State. And also CCC PDF, once the student completes their program at Montgomery College, can also be transferred with the student to a four-year institution. The tier program that we have at Montgomery College and the School of Education is the Alternative Certification Program. This is managed, this is under another colleague, Dr. Glenda Hernandez-Tittle. She's not here tonight. This program is focusing and supporting early childhood educators who already have a degree in a different field, but want to become a certified teacher. This is towards the Maryland Pre-K Expansion Program and Maryland's Blueprint. To be eligible for the Alternative Certification Program, applicants must be graduated already from a different field and in another area, but also be working in early childhood, whether it's early care, family childcare or center-based. This is the programs that we have, and we have a lot of fundings to support early childhood educators, Montgomery County and Maryland State. And questions for me?
Oh, thank you, Dr. Maylene. Yeah, the question I have is, I know you did mention something about the ESL or English as a second language students, right? Do you have any tutoring for the struggling providers? Because especially if English is not their first language, a lot of the exams or a lot of the classes are geared for English speakers. So do you have some tutoring available?
We understand. Yes, thank you, Ruby, for your question. Yes, we understand the need of early childhood educators who first language is different to English. So we do support with the early ESL classes, but we also do one-to-one tutoring with the ESL students. And we provide additional support in communication, because we also provide classes online and in-person classes to those students who want to become, become more proficient in their communication skills. So we do have tutoring, we do pay for the ESL classes. And in addition to that, we also provide conversational classes at the evening or weekends for students who want to gain more knowledge in their communication skills.
Oh, okay. So that is good. What about study groups? Do you have study groups?
We had it in the past before COVID. We are trying to get in track again, but being open and honest, our students prefer that, the Zoom part of, being in class. We are trying little by little to get together in person and on Zoom, but we are still working on it.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you. That's really nice. I like all the programs that Montgomery College have. So is there any question for Dr. Maylene? Okay, if there's no question, we're going to go to Beverly Coleman.
Good evening. Hi. Thank you. Thank you, Ruby, for inviting me. Now, I'm a little different from everyone else because I don't particularly work in education and helping, but we provide assistance in a different way. And I know that Ruby really wanted me to talk about the Fresh Start program. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to tell you a little bit about our program, and then I'll explain what the Fresh Start program is. We are, as I mentioned, a pre-college program. We're funded by the U.S. Department of Education. And so because of that, there are certain guidelines as to who we can serve, and they must be Montgomery County residents. And so that, there are programs at EOC program in Prince George's County, one that serves Baltimore City and Howard County, as well as one that serves DC, and they're all across the U.S. as well as in U.S. territories. And the primary purpose is to assist adults 19 and above in pursuing post-secondary education or training. We do, however, also assist high school students. And we provide assistance in the admissions process. And because we're funded by the federal government, we do not recruit for Montgomery College. Actually, prior to the pandemic, we had a student enrolled in college in Canada. So we really don't tell students where to go. We just help them get there. We also assist with the financial aid process, applying for FAFSA, for scholarships, and for those who are attending some of the private schools that use it, the CSS profile. We offer the GED practice test for free, as well as we provide academic guidance, career guidance, and help with financial literacy. And this is where I think when my conversation with Ruby at the School of Education event 2 Saturdays ago, I think, that I believe that's what Ruby wanted me to talk about, but I wanted to make sure I spoke about our program. And so if you know anyone who's interested in our services, please contact me. Or if you're interested in us providing a workshop, we can do that as well. So one of the things that I mentioned to Ruby was about various loan forgiveness programs. Of course, there's a public service loan forgiveness program in which you have to be serving in a public service capacity for at least 10 years, as well as have been making your payments on your student loans for 10 years. There is another one that's called the student loan discharge, which that one has to do with those students that may have attended a for-profit institution that went out of business while they were enrolled and that they have a student loan. With that program, if they're eligible, that loan is discharged. In other words, it's wiped clean, as well as for some students, they've even been able to get refunds on their loan payments. And we provide hands-on assistance with these programs. And then finally, I think the one that really sparked Ruby's interest was the Fresh Start program, which ends on September 30th of this year. So it's particularly designed for, specifically, designed for those students who are in default of their student loan. So they have to already be in default. And the Fresh Start program, they apply for it, and and I haven't had any students apply that weren't approved. But they applied for it, and then what happens is their loan is no longer in foreclosure. I mean, it's no longer in default. So one, so that goes away. Two, it is removed from your credit report. And we know that having a defaulted loan can be a severe ding on your credit report, which can, of course, impact car purchase, housing, as well as we know there are some jobs that also do credit report, credit checks as well. So it does that as well. And then the student is eligible to receive federal aid. Because when you're in default of a student loan, you're not eligible for federal aid, and often you're not eligible for state aid as well in the state of Maryland. And so, and that's all I can talk about because we don't deal with at other states. And I know this is being streamed, so I don't know who might be watching it. And so then once they have been approved for the Fresh Start program, they then can apply for the repayment program. They can, as long as the SAVE program is still open, they can, which is an income-driven repayment plan. And so they can apply for one of the income-driven repayment plans. And what that means is that it is based on your income. Your loan payments are based on your income. So we have worked with students because we work with predominantly low-income, first-generation students that have been eligible for zero payments because of their income. Or I think the highest I've worked with anyone was $5. Now, and of course, that does not make your loan go away, but what it does is it does open some opportunities for that student. They don't have the stress of having that default over their head because when you're in default of a federal loan, they can garnish your wages. They can take your income tax return, your federal income tax return. So it can have some significant impact, particularly for those individuals who are low income. I do have, if I can get permission to share, I do have a flyer, and if you want, it has a QR code. If anybody wants to scan that QR code, that will connect them with the website about the Fresh Start program. If you're working with someone, there we go. And as you can see, these are some of the benefits, and then of course, which loans are eligible, but you must be in default of your student loan. If a student was previously in default, but they've already started paying back their loan, they're no longer eligible for the Fresh Start. And we're not discouraging people from paying their loans, but then you're not eligible for this. The deadline is September 30th of this year. After September 30th, this program will go away. And so we're trying to really get this information out to as many people as possible. And Ruby, I can send this flyer to you later. We just want to make sure that everyone who is working with students is aware of this program. It is sharing it, correct? Okay, good. All right. Just so that people know that they're aware of this program, because you may know people in your community, in your family, as well as it may be the students that you're working with that may want to take more classes, but they can only take what they can afford because they are not eligible for federal aid. And this really opens up a door for them. So I don't know if there's any questions about the loan programs or loan forgiveness programs, particularly Fresh Start, or if there's any questions about our program. I do want to let, is it Dr. Neal?
Mark.
No, Dr. Neil,
Ricardo's fine.
Ricardo, okay.
Ricardo's
So,
perfectly fine.
Ricardo, I did want to let
Oh,
you know
fine.
there is a program, as I mentioned, that serves Baltimore City and Howard County. And they provide the same services. So if any of the young men that you're working with need assistance with financial aid or the FAFSA process or anything like that, that is exactly what they do.
Beverly, I appreciate you saying that. I wrote your name down in the org. If you could put in the chat the sister program or the brother program for us to connect to, that would be helpful. Yeah, because I made a note to reach out to you to ask.
Yeah,
for
because you said,
information for the young man.
yeah, you said you serve Baltimore County, Baltimore City, and where else?
Baltimore, but really, we have young men, we're primarily in Baltimore, but we're open to young men even beyond that. This is where we're anchored, but we're open. We have young men in DC as well. And as an organization, though we're anchored in Baltimore, we operate programs in 6 other cities across the country.
Oh, okay. Well, what I'll do is, if you want, I can put in the chat the contact information for the EOC that serves DC and the one that serves Baltimore City and Howard County.
All right, that will help. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Are there any questions about the Fresh Start or any other of the loan programs?
Beverly, the question I have is you said it's only for Montgomery County, Baltimore City, Howard County, and DC?
Oh, no.
Or is
Those
it-
programs are, but there are programs across the EOC programs across the US. They're even in the territory, so they're in Puerto Rico and they're all over the country. So sometimes what will happen is someone might live in Virginia, and then what I'll do is I'll look to see if there's a program in Virginia serving their community. Because we're funded by the federal government, we have specific geographic areas that we serve. And so the person must be a resident of that area for us to provide assistance. However, the loan programs that I mentioned are eligible for anyone who has a federal student loan.
Oh, wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, particularly that Fresh Start. And if you want, I can bring that up so you can see again which loans are eligible.
Yeah.
Okay, so and the loans that are eligible again are the William D. Ford Federal Direct Loan, the Family Loan, the FEL, and the Perkins Loan, if it's held by Department of Ed.
Yeah,
So some of the and the reason there's that because some Perkins loans are held by the institution, not by the U.S. Department of Ed. So it has to be a loan that's held by the U.S. Department of Ed.
Oh, okay. In regards to the Perkins loan, right?
Yes. Yeah, in regards to the Perkins loan. But the other two are federal loans.
Yeah. Because I know a lot of the young graduates, a lot of them are graduating with $100,000.
Oh, yes.
No, and it's a lot for a young person that's starting life. And if, they don't have a good job, it's really a struggle.
And that's why we really encourage students that when it comes time to begin their loan payments, actually prior to that, is to set up so that they can request the income-driven repayment. So that when I'm at the beginning of my career, if any of us, I remember when I started as a probation officer, juvenile probation officer, I was making $23,000 a year. So, I know that when you start off, you're not making very much money. And it's not that don't let the gray hair fool you. It's not because I was working that long ago. It wasn't the Stone Ages. Yeah, so, and I think those income-driven repayment plans are very beneficial for individuals who are starting off in their careers. One, and the other thing that I encourage individuals to do, if they go to the federal website for student loans, when they borrow, when they're thinking about borrowing, there's actually a formula there that you can use to tell you how much your student loans payments could be.
Oh, I wasn't aware of that.
Yes. And so that's the other thing that we try to do is to help students borrow wisely.
Wow.
Because we make sure they understand whether you pass your classes, whether you earn your degree, doesn't matter. you borrow that card, so borrow that money, you're gonna have to pay that back.
Yeah. Well,
And so that, that as I always like to use is, so if I buy a Maserati and I pull out and I am hit, guess what? I'm still making that car payment.
mhm.
Okay. So, making sure that they understand that, but yes. So, and if you have anyone, I'll put my contact information in the chat. So if you're serving someone outside of the areas that I mentioned, or someone, you can contact me and I'll direct them.
Okay. Well,
Okay.
thank you.
All right.
This is really good information. Any other comments or questions from the people on the call? Yeah, but that's a powerful resource for our workforce.
All right.
So if there's none, we're gonna go. We always save the best for last, right? Akima?
Well, thank you very much, Ruby. And I won't respond to that because my colleagues from Montgomery College preceded me and I still have to go back to work tomorrow. But thank you. And it's a pleasure to be here. Blueprint is heavy on the minds of those dual enrollment practitioners, and we live primarily in Pillar 3. But as you all know, as a board and others, there's so much overlap and need for integration and communication and what is going on. And so I want to talk a little bit about dual enrollment at Montgomery College and really kind of how it expands throughout the state and how it can play an integral part in the work that you all do with Pillar 1. So Montgomery College, a little bit of bragging moments here. We have the most degree program graduates in any other community college, any other college in the state. We had 270 students simultaneously earn an associate degree while graduating from high school this last May, June. We currently, under our dual enrollment umbrella, we have the early college program, the middle college program, the P-TECH program, as well as the virtual middle college program, which is the only one in the country, as far as I know. It's the first and only one in which a student can earn a college degree in high school by taking classes entirely online. And that's one of the programs that we launched post-COVID and doing an assessment on the effects of COVID. And one of the great benefits of that, it increases the access for students because they don't have to travel to campus and they can there are parents who are concerned about the safety of youth on predominantly adult campuses and those types of things. We offer 24 different degree programs and 7 different certificates. For example, even with our virtual middle college, we students have the ability to do the early childhood technology degree program. We have students that are participating in that. And we also have our elementary and special education degree within our early college. And so our dual enrolled students, half of them are actually enrolled in degree programs. The other half are just taking individual courses. And one of the things that we have done is try to make it more purposeful. So rather than choosing random courses because they sound great or it just seems like the popular one to take, we want to create pathways that lead them towards degrees. So they're not going to graduate, but by talking to our deans and chairs and saying, if a student were to take the first 4 courses in your degree program, what would you recommend? So there's a trajectory there and allows students to work towards completion. As it relates to Blueprint, what's well known is that Blueprint has been put out there as being free, and it no longer costs anything for students to take college courses. One of the things that's happened statewide is that the numbers have grown exponentially. For us, for example, we went up 78% over from last fall to the next fall. And you know, you ask anyone with a business model and you say, how would you feel about 78% growth in a year? You know, and that is huge. That's beyond huge. And so there are many counties within the state that were not able financially to handle that type of growth. And so there was a review and assessment and clarification ultimately on what dual enrollment and free means. And so it is now stated that at minimum, counties would have to pay for 2 courses per semester for the fall and spring, as opposed to kind of unlimited all throughout the year. It does not preclude a county from paying for more, but it sets a standard so that counties at least can gauge their budgets and be able to kind of prepare and manage for some of those things. So for example, in Montgomery County, if a student wants to take individual courses, they're going to be limited to the 2 courses per semester. But if a student's in one of our degree programs, then we've committed with our local school, local education agency, for the entire degree to still be covered if they've been admitted into one of our degree programs. Because free education at the high school level is meant to not only for completion, but also the access part of it. As a team, we looked at how we can target sometimes marginalized groups. And so we're actually focusing specifically on our emerging multilingual learners. And we're focusing in on our farm students and low-income students and first-generation students and minority students to ensure that they have greater awareness for these programs and are actually engaging these programs at the same rate as others who have the access to get this information in regular venues. And so we're specifically targeting these things. I'm excited to announce we launched a pilot this summer called the Pre-Dual Enrollment Program for Emerging Multilingual Learners. Historically, there are students, English as a second language students, who have not been able to access dual enrollment, not because they're not college ready, but because of the language acquisition. And when they do the placement testing, if they don't place at the college ready level, they can't access these courses. And so through some shifting of some funds, we're actually allowing students for the first time to take one of our English language access courses that, should they complete that successfully, now be able to access our regular college degree program. And so we have a cohort of students that just started this summer at no cost for them. And these students would otherwise not have been able to access dual enrollment. I am very good at rambling and talking. And so I want to at least pause there and see if there are any questions on any of the things that I've said. I'll close out though when I talked about that state meeting, and Montgomery College is hosting the first statewide meeting. We have over 70 dual enrollment practitioners, 14 of the 15 community colleges, and 5 of the 4-year institutions are all going to get together to talk about the impact of Blueprint and other dual enrollment matters this summer. And it's the first time that this has happened. And so we are looking to move as a unit, although we operate, within our county boundaries. There are a lot of things that are salient to all of us. And so this is an important time. And so being able to talk to this group and hearing your feedback and putting it forward to those folks, so that when students are accessing these dual enrollment programs, they can think about early childhood education and these opportunities as well. I'm stopping now for real.
Thank you so much, Akima. That is really a very good program. And I'm also pleased that we're breaking down the silos, and pillar 3 is actually coming and talking to us, pillar 1. And, because our work is together. I mean, we have to work together in order to make the blueprint a success. And also we're breaking down counties. So we're learning, getting a lot of information from, like we didn't know about that we will all, these other programs that are in this meeting, right? And the information sharing, we're assisting one another, we're networking, and also we're mentoring and giving support to one another. This is actually valuable. So at this point, I guess I'm gonna turn it to Libby, who's gonna close the meeting for us and talk about the updates that are with AIB.
Great. Thank you so much, Ruby. Thank you for everyone else for joining as well. Okay, just a couple quick updates. I know we are running out of time. Just wanted to give you an update that a lot of pieces of the LEA plans have been submitted: career ladder, career counseling, literacy plans, revisions to the May submissions have come in. So those reviews are in progress, and we're working to get feedback out in the coming weeks to folks. AIB is also excited to announce that we have 2 new hires. We have a new data analyst on our team and a director of communications who will be joining us. So look out for more information about those 2 new folks on our team soon. And then finally, just in terms of the Pillar 1 committee term, applications and nominations have closed. So new appointments will be determined from after an AIB review. And with that, I think I'll turn it over to Ruby for final closing remarks.
Okay, well, thank you, everyone. So our next meeting, I'd like to thank all the guests for their valuable information and their time, and especially Mark and Ricardo, who accepted my invitation last minute. And our next Pillar 1 Advisory Committee meeting is in September the 5th. And we are having a new time. It's going to start at 4:30. So if you know of anyone who wants to come and speak in the Pillar 1 space, everyone's welcome. And just either contact Rachel A. Or Libby here or myself, and we will gladly have you come, and then we can all share with one another, the wonderful work that's happening in the state of Maryland. Thank you so much, everyone, and have a wonderful evening.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you.
Good night. Thank you.
Night.
Thank you.